candle burns at both ends, it will not last the night. But ah, my foes, and oh, my friends, it gives a lovely light. Sup? I'm reliably informed that I'm terrible at pimping my stuff, so here I am, pimping my stuff. You can buy most of the shit that I make over at post-mort.com. Hope to see you there. Hello lovelies. I'm quitting inappropriate characters. Now, if you regularly follow the channel, then you know that this hasn't been an easy decision, and I've been agonising about it for quite a while now, even before I started mentioning it on the channel. I'm not particularly happy about it. I don't want to relitigate everything, particularly here, but it's to do with COVID-19, coronavirus, and pundits' attitude towards it. I'm incredibly chill and hippie-ish for the most part. I can tolerate an enormous amount of disagreement, particularly when it's largely academic disagreement, but everyone has their limit. There will always be something that people find personally intolerable, and for me, advocating against the necessary lockdown, arguing that things should be opened up and that people should essentially die for the sake of billionaires' bottom lines.
Many men, of course, became extremely rich, but this was perfectly natural and nothing to be ashamed of, because no one was really poor, at least no one worth speaking of.
Or, it's not even give me convenience or give me death, it's give me convenience or give you death. Right, that is a line that I draw a line at. Some of that's personal, some of it's not. But basically I view it the same way I view anti-vaccination. Dangerous lunacy that is going to get people killed.
So this is it. We're going to die.
I've tried to give pundit as many opportunities as possible to meet me halfway, to express that he at least understands my position. I'm in a high-risk category. My parents are getting on as well. My nephew is in a high-risk category. A disabled friend of mine has had it and has suffered permanent neurological damage from it. I've been paying attention to the people who have recovered, and they're staring down months or even years of physical therapy and so on to get better. This is not something that any of us should take lightly, and the shutdown is necessary, and far less people are going to die from the knock-on economic and social effects of the lockdown than would have died if we didn't lock down. Yeah, that's basically the long and the short of it. And advocating against it is basically saying, fuck you, Grim, you can die, I don't care.
Isn't that rather unethical behaviour?
Oh, is it? I'm afraid I'm a bit out of touch.
So long as I can go and get my Baskin Robbins and my haircut. And I'm not down with that. I would not share a platform with an anti-vaxxer or a flat earther, and I can't share a platform with someone who's advocating against this in a way that will get people killed. You know, I know people in Brazil, which is struggling horribly with it all as well. I have friends all around the world as a result of a life spent largely online. This whole thing is an enormous shit show, and I'm just not prepared to continue if someone's not even prepared to understand my point of view or the risk that I'm facing personally. Maybe that's distorting my viewpoint, maybe it isn't, I don't know. I don't particularly bear any ill will towards Pundit or Avenger. I'll still support their products. If they choose to continue with the show, I'll support them in that endeavour. I think there was value in having someone who was more right-wing and traditionalistic, someone who was more centrist but had moved around a bit, and someone being far left, all on the same podcast. I'm a bit disappointed to see that immediately, with it coming out that I'm withdrawing, a lot of the people that I hoped and thought I might be reaching are bad-mouthing me and so on.
Haven't you any spirit at all? No!
Like I say, I don't bear any ill will towards Pundit or Venger. I think Pundit is misrepresenting things a bit.
Ha! I thought it was one of the prime numbers of the Zeman series. I haven't changed.
But that's kind of his shtick, isn't it? To be the loudmouth arsehole online. And it is a shtick. Behind the scenes, he's normally a fairly chill puppy dog of a guy. And yeah, you should continue to watch the show. Like I say, I'm not gonna relitigate it right now. Other opportunities are knocking. We'll see how things go. Maybe I'll step up my own podcast. So if anyone wants to come on there and have discussions about things that are at least tangentially gaming related, let me know. Maybe we'll do something about that. But yeah, I'm sad that it's coming to an end, but I cannot go any further without some attempt to meet me even 90% of the way or 10% of the way from my point of view. Yeah, so I'll just meander and ramble a little bit after this. So if all you're interested in is drama, there isn't really any. I've just reached the limit of my tolerance, because it's a matter of reality of life and death.
It's plain suicide.
No, it's a rational transaction. One life for billions.
And there's no movement or attempt to compromise there, so I've been left with very little choice. On to the ramble.
Because it's going to be very intelligent and quite interesting and humane.
This is my brand, right? I have form for making decisions that harm me financially or career-wise or otherwise, because I view them as being the right thing to do. Right? Adversity makes strange bedfellows, but it can also force people apart who you think are together or similar in certain points of view. I mean, look at what's happening with Mike Meals, right? Or Merles, if you prefer. Some people in the comments seem to. He's being excoriated over a less than charitable interpretation of something that might have happened, and his association with someone based on stuff that came out about them later on that may or may not be true, that wasn't known at the time that Meals did whatever it is that he's alleged to have done. And most of the people complaining don't even really seem to know, right? It does me no good. It does me no favours. It doesn't help my reputation or my reach or anything else to stick up for Mike Meals. It does absolutely nothing for my career, but I do it because it's the right thing to do. Right? I'm quitting inappropriate characters because we've reached a level that I am not prepared to tolerate. That's going to harm my career. It's going to turn people who were on my side, so long as I was a convenient Fox News liberal for them, it's going to turn them against me. That's going to harm my bottom line and my career and my income, but it's the right thing to do. I got involved in men's rights issues because it was the right thing to do. There are issues where men are suffering, are harmed, and we're doing very little about it as a society. And I've experienced that personally in numerous ways. But that movement, for all that there's a lot good about it, has a terrible reputation. So my involvement there has not done me any favours, but it was the right thing to do. Taking a strong anti-censorship stance. Standing up for people at conventions who have hate mobs go after them over misunderstandings. None of these things are good for me. Right, but it's the right thing to do, and I guess that's my brand, the martyr, the man of principle who will suffer for it, but I can't live with myself any other way.
I'd far rather be happy than right any day.
And are you?
No, that's where it all falls down, of course.
The same, I distanced myself from the men's rights movement because I saw it becoming too entangled with the right wing and the traditionalists and becoming too much of a reflection of feminism. That hasn't done me any favours Going into it didn't. Coming out of it didn't. Gamergate. I went with that and fought really hard to propagate what it actually was to people. That was a terrible idea in terms of career and everything, but it was the right thing to do. You know, this is consistent. I couldn't live with myself if I was any other way.
I haven't changed.
So anything else is kind of separate and distinct to that. When I do fall short, I beat myself up about it far more than anyone else could ever hope to do. I think that's part of what makes me so resilient to it. It's not always good to be like this. It can be inflexible, and it can do harm to yourself, and it means that sometimes you can't reach people who need to be reached. So I'm not exactly tooting my own horn and saying, look at me, my ethics. It's more complicated than that. The takeaway here is that I have to be able to live with myself, and I can't do that if I compromise too far on certain things.
Never compromise. Not even in the face of Armageddon.
Right. And this, if you want to understand me and why I go all in on certain things, that's how you have to understand it. I have principles. I distance myself as much as possible from emotional entanglement when I'm thinking about things. And those principles are extremely important to me, more important to me than just about anything else. And it would compromise my sense of self to go back on things. So I said this was a ramble, but it's turning into too much of a ramble, and I'm reiterating the same points over and over. To wrap up then, I'm sad. It's a shame. I think we were doing something valuable, but there's a certain line I can't cross. And this is one of them. Yeah, dangerous, ill-informed, erroneous claims about things that are going to lead to people dying.
Hey, you tell me, how come it's not safe to walk in Central Park, huh? Or give a stranger a lift anymore? Because the world's full of crazy people, Jack. Hoodlums.
In the same way that anti-vax and so on does. And despite my efforts at distancing and intellectualization, it is personal, because I'm in a high-risk category, because my friends have been affected, because I fear for the life of my friends in other countries. Yeah, there's a personal aspect that's inescapable there too. So hopefully you'll be understanding, but a lot of people disappointingly aren't extending to me the same consideration and courtesy and attempt to understand and empathize and sympathize that I've extended to them. And that's what hurts the most, I think, that all this time spent trying to reach out to people has amounted to pretty much fuck all. And people wonder why I'm cynical and have depression. Zang.
The Atomic Age, with its A-bombs, transistorized radios, jet engines, and a new breed of dangerous supervillain, requires heroes to face the challenge. That's where you come in. The world needs you, Agent of Swing.